Shout out to the patrons.
Shout out to the patrons.
Steve and James, I think it is so far.
Thanks, Steve and James.
Thanks, Steve and James. Supporting local.
Yeah.
In the Marigolds,
Yes.
I want to first... Was it Brian that wrote the presser for it, or was it you?
So it was actually someone from Blenheim called Matt.
Okay.
Who plays drums in Big Scout.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Brian sent him the album, I guess, a while ago, maybe before we even finished it, and see if he could come up with some words, because I think he's a words person.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he did write up, and then Brian edited it a bit.
Yeah, cool.
And yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, cool.
It's really good. I think it gave such a great story to the album, and reading that while listening to it, it did what I think it should do, which is it gave me answers but also more questions, which I think is great.
Yeah, it's supposed to give you little prompts, prompt things that you might already know, or to, guide you into something, because it's something the album came out of nowhere essentially.
Yeah.
I haven't been playing shows or anything.
No.
The last release was 8 years ago, and it was on tape.
Yes.
So,
So I guess we could start back in 2018 then.
Okay.
Where it mentions that you guys, Brian and Anita,
Yeah.
the band,
Yeah.
got together on a cold night to make music.
Shiveringly cold.
But it also references that you were all flatmates for a long time before then.
That's right.
What was it like living in a house full of musicians like that?
I feel like I've always lived in houses with musicians. That place in Christchurch was on London Street in Richmond. I lived there, Brian's lived there, Violet French lived there, Anita lived there, Joe Sampson lived there, Josh, who is playing in, the fuck is it, what band called? Yumi Zuma lived there. So many people lived there, and so we rehearsed, everyone rehearsed there. Dance Asthmatics rehearsed there, Salad Boys rehearsed there. And so our lounge was just our practice space. And so, yeah, it's great. I don't think I've ever not lived with musicians.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so coming back after living up in Auckland and going back down to record some music, in many ways it was like going back to a living in a home situation you've been used to.
Yeah, it was, I can't actually remember how we started doing it. I think I'd maybe messaged Brian, because he started recording quite a lot of people down there and getting a bit of a setup. And I think I was down for, I don't know, maybe some family thing, I'm not too sure. But yeah, we got together and recorded Only Life in his storage unit in Woolston. And a lot of fun. And then we were like, fuck it, let's make an album. And then so from then till this year, so I guess 4 years, we kind of chipped away at it.
Yeah, and so did you were kind of coming up with songs as that period went on? Like, it wasn't like, hey, I've written the album of songs we're listening to now me, Brian, and Anita are going to record them? Or was it a little bit more formed than that? So
yes and no. Some of the songs on that album were, I think one of them goes back to 2014.
Wow.
Possibly even more than that. No, it would have been more than that. And I'm really chronic on recording on my phone on the little voice memos app. Yeah. And before that on little 4-track cassette things that my labeling is so awful that I don't even know what's on there.
Yeah.
So some of them were pretty formed and just maybe lyrics were a flexible part, but some were written kind of during that as well. So it's a real mixture of times,
yeah.
Which is, I think, something that initially I was slightly uncomfortable with, because you go through a lot of changes from being 24 to 32 or whatever, you know. But there's something kind of cathartic in putting in full stop to it.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I actually got a sense that the album, at least there are quite a lot of thematic parallels throughout the album to me, I think.
What do you mean by thematic? Oh, theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So like you know, a lot of the writing is about kind of being lost and found, but through time and space.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot like nowhere land and like
Yeah.
and things like a lot of lines about like I've already gone or you've already gone or now we're here, and I found that really interesting. It's knowing a little bit about you and the time that it took to do all the songs, and also the fact that you've been doing it across places, actually really fit with the songs that ended up on the record, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I like you've been to Christchurch, you know what it's like. So like those, I don't think anyone who's lived there in the last, 15 years hasn't felt like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. You mean like as a reaction to the earthquakes and...
Yeah, and even before, like it's a fucked up place. And yeah, it's I've got a big soft spot for it, but I think that there's like a transient nature to it that I have felt like that for a while as well. And I guess a lot of the songs reference that.
Yeah, it's kind of, that's the common thread across that time period of your life. Like I said, like a lot of things change, but not everything changes.
Yeah, you always yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like your experience of place and time seems to have been the common thread across your writing. You know what I mean?
I think so. And lyrically, kind of like working through things within yourself and mental health stuff and substance stuff, like it's all there, and that's all kind of like a maybe an easy pool to draw from, but also quite cathartic.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So we were talking, as we said, like you were mentioning all the people that you've lived with.
Yeah,
even in that just one flat.
That was just one place.
And it's kind of like a who's who, really, of the Christchurch music scene, but also the New Zealand music scene. What do you think it is? What do you like personally as a fan of the people that you have played with in music in Christchurch, or even who are still in Christchurch now? Like, why do you think they're special? You keep getting drawn back to them.
It's quite interesting. I don't know if it's the same for a lot of cities, but like when you grow up in Christchurch, there, especially when you're not 18 yet, it was just house parties and playing in each other's bands. And then once you were old enough to drink, it was like bars, house parties, and playing in each other's bands. So everyone played in each other's bands, and people got quite good at it. And it just, I think it was a really, like, there's so many people that were in that are still doing it now. Like, a large majority still are. I'm fortunate that they're, like, still doing that and still keen. So I can't remember what the actual question was, but what was the question?
You know, I when I think of like the Melted Ice Cream family, and what Anita's done, and what Brian's done, and what Joe's done, and all the music that's still being made, and all the offshoots from it, like finding World Series through Ben, and
true.
There's a whole fucking like supergroup thing, and like meeting Ryan Chim back when I was in high school and seeing him play with Ben now and on the recordings and everything. There is a kind of collection of great musicians there from my point of view, and but it's a scene that I haven't necessarily been geographically linked to or been around. So it's interesting. It would be interesting to hear your experience from inside that kind of group and what's going on.
Yeah, well, there's fuck all to do down there, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And it's really insular, so you play in each other's bands. Like, I don't know, I think Brian made, or maybe it was Michael, someone made like a I don't know if it's a Venn diagram, but it's some type of diagram, like a family tree or something that
Right.
links all these things. It's on the, I think it's on the liner notes of the Sickest Smashers, and it's got like all these bands, and then links who's in what, and it's a fucking chaos.
Yeah, right.
It's just lines going everywhere. Like everyone's in each other's shit. There was like one band that was kind of isolated, but had like one member. I can't remember who that was, but it's yeah. I don't know why that is either. But it's. I think it's this. I don't know. I think it's a slept-on music scene. Well, maybe not anymore. Because like I don't know, Aldous Harding's massive, and so is Mylan. And Ben's on his way, and Anita's a star. So like this.
Yeah.
It's cool that I guess it's getting recognition, but I think in the years prior, Auckland primarily dominated. Auckland music primarily dominated New Zealand's music. But I don't need. Maybe it was the same up here. I don't know.
And have you found the same kind of spirit of collaboration and music camaraderie up here in Auckland as well?
So it took me a while, but yes, now I have. It's when you move places, it takes you a while to find your freaks.
Yes, good way of putting it. Yeah.
But yeah, like I think up here, living with for a long time with Sam, who works for Audio Foundation, introduced me to so much stuff, and they've been like a really wonderful freak family to be around, and so that's kind of opened my eyes up to lots of different things. I think without that organization, my experience up here would have been vastly different.
It can. I think it's quite a common experience in Auckland to take a while to get into knowing people.
I still feel like I don't know people. Like in Christchurch, it was weird. You'd go to the same bars because there's only a couple of them every weekend, and you'd see people, and because you didn't say hi to them 5 years ago, you don't say hi to them tonight. And it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But up here, there's people that I see that I got no idea who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. Like, it's cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still jazzed on Auckland. People get burnt out, but I think it's cool up here,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I like it.
Now, listening to the record, and I think people will make this comparison in a lazy way, the like Flying Nun comparison. Because it doesn't necessarily remind me of any single band or like band that was inspired by that era through it. It has its own sound in the Marigolds, I think. But it also is kind of putting itself in the step after that stuff. You know what I mean? And I just wonder, has that been something, is that an outcome of your just natural what you like the sound of, what you like to write, or was that an intentional thing you went into that you wanted to be pulling from this kind of stuff?
Nah, I mean, like, I lapsed that stuff up like a cat with a big bowl of milk for so long, and I still do. Like some of those records and bands are still to this day my most listened to music. So
what were like the significant early ones?
Mainly the Clean.
Right.
Yeah. That anthology I would have listened to millions of times, and then like kind of I got around to that in a weird way as well, like through like getting into bands like Pavement, and then being like, oh, they're really into like these like New Zealand bands, and then like you're like, holy shit, and then you kind of, I don't know, in your like late teens, early 20s, you're like, oh, there's all this stuff that was here, and then you're hooked. So that, I mean, none of those, like, I think those comparisons are valid. And I think they're, I'm not like shying away from them at all. But I don't think it's intentional. You just like, you make the music that you like to listen to, you know?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it's not like I'll go out and be like, I want to make a song that sounds like XYZ or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely, that scene is from that era. Like I think maybe from the 90s it got a bit lost, and I don't know what they're up to now, but that heritage Flying Nun stuff very fucking cool.
Yeah, very cool. And interestingly, like Southern roots as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Playing in each other's bands.
I know. Yeah, they all do. Yeah, same thing. And you can go. You can get deep on the thing. Audio culture. There's lots of cool stuff on there about it. And yeah, I think it would have been a different time. But they made awesome records.
And I wonder if, like, you could say that the same caliber of interesting scene stuff is happening in Christchurch and Dunedin right now, but feels like maybe it's being slept on a bit, although that's a very subjective thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was also the case when all these things were happening at the time,
Yeah.
Like, they probably didn't get the kind of attention at the time it was happening.
No, and I think it was like I don't. It's like hard to imagine without like being there, but I imagine like a lot of it would have happened out of boredom, the same way that things happen in Christchurch.
Yeah,
There's fuck all to do, and like the majority are like a lot of the I don't know, like I don't want to. Anyway, there's like you may as well make music and like hang out.
Yeah, totally.
And then that spurs things happening, and so I think that kind of like isolation that we get here is beneficial to that aspect. It feels increasingly less isolated in a bigger city, but then, I mean, Auckland's still like, in like global terms,
Yeah.
it's like we're
not
like rural. Like, New Zealand's pretty small.
Yeah.
So.
And like you're saying, like boredom and also music as an excuse to kind of hang out with friends and play with one another. You have a very wide, extended circle of musically inspired friends. So what is it about Brian and Anita for you that made them have to be a part of this Jim Nothing album?
I think I'm really comfortable with them as people. We align quite well. We're all total freaks. And yeah, I think we're also around and available, and like, yeah, like we're friends as well. So like I've played in bands with Brian, and like when Anita was starting out with Motta, like I was like lent her all my guitar and pedals and 4-tracks and stuff, and like so it's all. I think we've all helped each other out in many different things, and it was cool to see this album start from a song, and then it was fun, and the outcome was nice, and so there were more songs, and then over different periods of time and in different places, but yeah, always that core three, kind of working on it. Yeah.
Which sounds very natural, like being like, well, this is, instead of being like having this very heady planning, like we're gonna have 12 songs on the record, one's gonna sound like this, one's gonna sound like that. It's just like doing it and then reacting to it, be like, well, that was cool, let's do some more.
It's unnatural in a way though, because those songs have like most of them have never been performed as a band,
right?
So it's been something that I've had like as a rough demo on my phone to something that was tracked with drums and bass, and then Anita does her thing, and then like we build it up that way.
Right.
So it's kind of making an album in a backwards way rather than being in a band and figuring out the songs in the garage and playing local shows. And
how do you feel about doing like, say, recordings first and then forming a band around recordings?
I feel fine about it.
Cool.
It's exactly what's happened. Like it would be different if we all lived in the same city, I think. But Anita was in Wellington, Brian was in Christchurch, I was up here. Paul Brown, who played bass on a lot of it, is also up here, and Ben Odering, who used to play bass in Salad Boys, played on it as well. So, I mean, it feels it feels as it should, you know. Like, I'd like to play shows with it, and maybe book a tour. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we got to rehearse. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like
yeah.
it's honestly, it's so weird. Like, there's when you write like that as well, like as like creating songs, like I go through the phone app or whatever, or the computer with things, and it's like no recollection of ever hearing that song, let alone it, you know, recording
It's like
it.
a fever dream.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And then so it kind of feels, it's kind of exciting. Like you haven't like rehearsed them to when they're like real like shiny, you know. It's just like, well, that was the take that we got and we built from it.
Which is interesting, like, because that's an art in its own. That the album does have that feeling. Like, some people use the term off kilter to explain, like, culturally, you know, left field. But I would describe the album off kilter in a sense of, like, it's got, like, a sway to it the whole way through.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting that you've managed to do that. Usually that's a really hard thing to do where you're all having to play live together and find those little things. But you've all seemed to just have added these, like, maybe it's just like a commitment to takes that you're like, that is cool.
Yeah, and it's not exact, like, it's weird because a lot of the actual initial tracking would be me and Brian on drums and me on guitar playing together and doing a few different kind of like, we'll do a few different takes and being like, that one has the feeling, let's use that.
Right.
So
I feel like that's been lost a little bit in general terms in guitar band recordings.
Yeah.
With the advent of music technology that we have now.
Oh, yeah, the technology is amazing.
Everything just sounds so good and tight all the time.
Yeah.
Which is great. I really like that also.
Yeah.
But I think that's what maybe was hitting my ears with a bit more like impact listening to In The Marigolds. It's like, oh, it kind of made me aware of how perfectly robotically tight all the guitar music I've been listening to lately is.
Right, yeah.
And how much it is, you know, guitar music inherently is meant to be like a human expression, you know what I mean? It is meant to have that little lilting thing to it sometimes.
It's interesting as well because, and this came very much from Brian, but everything, from the start he set out that everything had to run through something. So even
like,
if it,
what?
Well, every it's recorded quite. It's not like, I mean, it sounds fucking hi-fi. Like he's done
it sounds great.
Spectacular job, but everything went through something. So the guitar 57 or whatever was on it, whatever microphone Brian had, ran through an old tape machine before it hit the DAW, what is it called? Audio interface.
Right.
Before it goes to Reaper. The vocals went through this old stereo before it went into that. So nothing went direct into the thing that goes into the computer.
Right.
Everything went through something, even if it's just an old mixing desk with no EQ. I think it was like, I don't know if it was like a weird thing that he had in his mind, but it had like everything had to go through something.
I think that's very smart because it's like building in, because you used to be able to, in fact, it used to be a problem in recording technology that all the stuff that you would use, like mixing desks and tape, would add all this shit into it.
Yeah.
And
but now it's so pure.
But now we've got now we're like, fuck, we have to intentionally add some of that in, or else it sounds too pristine.
You can get tape emulator plugins that give a signal, a wonderful cassette like wobble.
Yeah.
And you can decide how much warp is on it, and they're awesome. They're really cool plugins, but and easier to use than like fucking around with an old Tascam that's like half broken.
Yeah.
I can show you my garage later. It's like it's fucked.
I remember talking to Paddy Hill about like how much of a pain in the ass having a tape machine actually is.
Yeah.
Like, I just use plugins, but
yeah,
there is but I think that's that romantic thing in many ways that we've been circling around in terms of the music and the guitar and how it's all recorded and sounding, is that like the album and what we're talking about right now is kind of like trying to push it back into a very like, this is just some friends in a room making music that we want, that we like the sound of, and we're having fun.
Yeah.
And we want it to sound like us people are making it
totally
in a space, you know?
Yeah. And we got pretty silly on it. Like, fuck, we got silly on some of those recordings.
Well, there's that great, I can't remember, it might be, is it Never Come Back?
Never Come Down, yeah.
Never Come Down, that has like the bit at the start where it's just is that song? It's like I think it might even you be like, oh, wait.
yeah.
You know, shit like that is stuff that I really like hearing the band through the microphones.
Yeah.
It's just music is meant to be have the humanity of the artist in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be. It would feel very different if it didn't. Yeah, that song in particular was quite a ruckus one to record, and a lot of the like vocal takes. My old flatmate Tash was having a party here, and Brian and Anita and Paul, we were all up, and we're in my room where I sleep in now, which used to be like my office room where I do recordings and stuff. We were all in there, and so like there was like a party going on, and we're all we shut the door and made a party song as well. It was real fucking weird, but
awesome.
I think in that room as well there was quite a lot of people, and we all did different vocal takes for the chorus. So I can't even remember who's on in that chorus. They probably mixed in quite low, but there's a lot of people on that song.
Are you a comfortable singer? I think the
no,
yeah,
God no.
And I think the vocal performance.
I'm a drummer.
Yeah, don't worry,
yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Because it seems I like the vocals, and I also feel like there is some intention in how you're singing to get a certain sound coming out. Do you think that's true, or is that just you? Are you literally just try and do it as good as possible? And
I'm just trying to figure out how to do it. I always had that. I still have it. It's like, where do you sing? Do you do it the same range that you talk in? Is it lower? Is it higher?
Right.
How do you do that? It's
Yeah.
not. It's not natural for me. And that was the trickiest part for me personally about the whole thing. That and writing lyrics. Lyrics are very strange for me. Some of them were fully formed and written about really linear experiences, like Seahorse Kingdom is a narration of having a real weird time at Kelly Tarleton's.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's very it follows in a very linear fashion. But it's a lot of them would come up with lyrics for it would be what's it called, phonetics, or this is what it would need to be and this is where it should be, and then I'd scour through little written things and piece them together that way. But no, singing is very uncomfortable for me. Highly uncomfortable.
Well, it turned out really well on the record.
Thank you. Yeah, there was a couple of ones that I scrapped. I scrapped Borrowed Time, and I also scrapped Already Gone. And so they weren't going to be on the record, and there was going to be another two on there. But I really liked both those songs, and the reason why I scrapped them is because my vocals were shit, and the lyrics were just fucking lazy. And then so those were the last two songs lyrically that we recorded, and specifically for Borrowed Time, I think Brian was really helpful with a melody. He was like, why don't you try this? And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And
like a producer role.
Yeah, actually took on put on the producer hat, and we were in my garage. It was this year, that one was finished this year, and so I was going through old notebooks and little fucking things on my phone and piecing it together, and he was kind of humming it, and so there's I think Brian put it on his producer hat quite a lot on the album. That was that night that we finished that. We were like, okay, the album's done, and there's this guy in Spain, Alvaro, who Brian knows through releasing World Series stuff. He did What's Growing, got the records pressed and did that over there. And so it was I don't know, 3 or 4 a.m. But I was like, should I just message Alvaro? And I was like, yeah, dude, message Alvaro, let's do it. And then he messaged back being like, cool, how does September work for release? And yeah,
amazing,
works good. Yeah.
And so, were you, because you, as you said, you would call yourself a drummer still? Yeah, drummer. And so, have you been dabbling with guitars and guitar songwriting the whole time, or did that come along at a certain point in your life?
No, I've been messing around for sure. I had I had some guitar lessons at school, and I learned, the chords like G and E and C and D. D's a good one.
D's a good one.
F. I love F. So I learned all those, and those are still all I know.
Yeah.
That and I guess playing variations of them.
Up and down the neck.
Yeah, with a power chord kind of thing. But yeah, that's all I know. So I've dabbled in guitar for a while, but I don't you couldn't tell me to play a song and I'd know how to play it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And is it a different kind of outlet to the drumming? Is it the ability to communicate a little bit more through actual songwriting rather than?
Well, the drumming was something that I don't know, I've always been quite an intense person, and so drumming kind of came naturally. Originally, I wanted to learn violin. My parents were like, nah. And then I was like, oh, okay, I wanted to learn saxophone. They were like, nah. And then drums was the thing that I said yes to. I don't know why.
That's
but
crazy.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
So, I have been playing drums for a long time. But you don't really, write songs on drums.
No.
And to be honest, I've never practiced because playing drums alone kind of sucks. You need other people. And I guess coming back to being in Christchurch, there was a lot of people who knew how to play guitar and had songs that needed someone who knew how to play drums. And then so that's how I got in with all that, because I could play the drums and play along to stuff that they had made.
Yeah.
And then I guess being a music lover, you're instinctively start writing songs even though you don't really know how to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's how. So not comfortable with singing, not comfortable with playing guitar, but
but doing
but
both
here's
of
my
them
album.
Anyway.
Yeah.
No, very exciting. Do you how often, because with the Gym Nothing gig is coming up, for us, it's next week?
It is. It's the it'll probably be well past by the time this is out.
Yeah.
But if you've got some kind of mind-bending time travel, it's the 15th of September.
And how are you feeling
Wine Cellar.
about guitar? Is performing a gig, playing guitar and singing, a different thing in your mind than performing a gig and drumming in terms of how you feel
Utterly
about
different.
it? Yeah.
I've played a lot of old bands. I played a lot of shows, to all different sorts of people and all different sizes of audiences. But I don't get nervous playing drums in bands because it's comfortable for me. I know how to play the drums.
Yeah.
But I'm utterly terrified about this show. And also it's the show is on the night of the album release. So there's been no it's not out yet. No one knows the songs. I haven't been playing it Whammy every Thursday, Friday for the last 2 years. So I'm kind of coming in quite dry at a weird angle, for it to happen. So it's there's a bit of nerves, but I'm also quite excited because it'll be the first time as a full band that we've performed the songs fully.
Yeah, see, I think that will be quite a special experience.
I hope so.
That's definitely even if I hadn't already heard it and knew it was great, I would have bought a ticket.
Yeah.
For that reason, you know what I mean? To be there on an album release night where the artist, I think every fan of music wants to imagine that every time they see an artist, it's a special night for that artist and not just for them.
Yeah, it's not just a random night.
Yeah. You can feel it's a bit heartbreaking when you realize that most of them are cool, fucking another gig.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, but
it's lovely to play to you, Auckland.
But it just won't really be that way.
No, yeah,
which is really nice.
Yeah, and I think it's cool to have things to be, I don't know, feel different or feel intense. It's good to feel that way and then it be shared with people.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, what is it a lighten the load, share the burden?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, mate.
Yeah.
Because you've, in terms of playing drums and touring, as far as I know, you've at least done big international tours through America twice, right? One with you've done a Bang Bang Itch tour. You did a Salad Boys tour as well, and probably some other ones?
Yeah, the overseas stuff, Bang Bang Itch early on, we did a lot of touring through Europe and through the States. We first went to Europe when I was 16,
Yeah, wow.
And like MySpace was really big then,
Yeah.
and so we were like playing lots of shows here, and I remember like adding lots of people in Germany on MySpace, and then fucking bullshitting, being like, "We're planning on coming over in May or whatever the
Yeah,
month was.
yeah.
Can you help us book a show? Like, we'd love to like play some shows." And then eventually, like, it happened, and then so we went over, and I don't know, like, I think Zach was a bit older. Charlie's somewhere in between me and Zach, but like we were like not able to. I don't think we were able to drink in New Zealand, like legally drink alcohol here.
Yeah.
But we could somehow go to Germany and play like 2 weeks of tour. I don't know. It's very strange. So we did that quite a bit, and then States, and I don't know. There was a number of those things, and then in 2015, Salad Boys did a big like 5 or 6 week tour of the States, touring Metal Mania, and that was the last time I went overseas.
Yeah, right. And so are you someone who that's left you with a hankering to do it again and do it more? Or are you someone who's like that, like, wow, that was an experience, but I'm not really sure if I want to do that kind of thing again?
I've experienced both. Yes, would love to, and especially now being a bit older, and yeah.
But longer in the tooth.
Yeah, so yes, I'd love to do it again, but it is also utterly challenging, and after some of them I would come back being like, this is fucked.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be a weird experience just to ultimately break even and then come back and being like, oh shit, like, where do I live? Like, what do I do for a job? Like,
Yeah.
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 It is very strange.
It's a tough life. Like, I think that's the one true, like, ceiling, is that no man's land between we're getting popular enough to have a crack at touring consistently outside of New Zealand, but we're not popular enough that that's making us any money, so we can't hold down a place to come back to or a job to come back to.
Yeah.
But we've got to somehow keep it going. Like, that's the actual grind.
It's a weird grind as well, and I got so ground down by that ground that I didn't want to grind that anymore. Yeah. So I like checked out. Like, I didn't like fucking play music for yonks, and but you always keep coming back to it, and then I don't know.
Well, it's interesting that the coming back to it is probably very similar to a lot of the things you've talked about to do with this album, is like community and friends and fucking around and like play and like in a way kind of rediscovering that on your own time. Totally.
And yeah, I guess like doing it on your own time and doing it on your own terms. I think I feel utterly fortunate to have people around me that I do. They are wonderfully talented and beautiful people, and it's like, it's like very, very cool to message someone being like, do you want to play on this? And then they do, or like, can you help me edit this video? And then it's like just having a pool of people like who are lovely in themselves and fantastic at what they do is that's like, yeah, it's very, very, very cool. It's very, very cool. Like, I love people. Love my people.
Yeah, I feel that. It's funny, like, I've definitely gone through, I think a lot of people go through that similar thing of, especially if you're like a lifer, like a music lifer.
But you've also got friends that you don't see anymore because like they drop off and then you drop off, like they get into fucking...
Fuck them.
I don't know, I still care for them, but people go down a weird path and get into strange habits, and then you're like, fuck, like... So, but it's, it's, there's a lot of really talented people just fucking walking around.
And have you got are you feeling like energized by this whole process towards more in the future?
Yeah, I during recording the songs that we started recording, I started working on a next album, and this is similar to this first one. There's a lot to choose from, but I tried to start kind of blurring the lines between a demo and a recording.
Nice.
So this whole album was recorded on Reaper,
Cool.
like a free, well, not free.
Yeah.
It's, you pay for it, but you get a free trial for basically indefinitely if you want to. Brian's paid for it because it's a good citizen and records lots of music. But yeah, so I've always wanted to have all of my stuff set up in one place rather than like plugging stuff in every now and again. And
Such a hassle.
yeah, it's so punishing. So I finally got that, and so yeah, there's a lot of new songs that are being formulated and may need to be mixed or may need to be completely redone. I don't know, but some of them I think are good enough to hop on another record.
So yeah, there's stuff on the horizon.
Oh shit, yeah. I like compulsively writing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Which is a great space to be in.
Yeah, it is a great space to be in. But I think like you can't like, I'm not disciplined enough to do it consistently. Like it comes and it will like it'll happen, and then you do a bunch of it, and then you won't look at it ever again until
You need to
do it again. Yeah,
space for it.
yeah. So it's not like, I don't know. I feel like I'm fairly erratic, and so the feeling has to be there. And if it's not there, then it starts to become a chore. And like I already have chores. Like I don't want,
yeah, you don't want
yeah.
you don't want to invent more for yourself.
No, and you don't want to turn that into it. So I think like, and people get real hard on themselves for like creative productivity, or they must have an outcome for something, which like I've gone through as well, and I think that's kind of bullshit. And especially through lockdown as well, everyone was like making these like lockdown EPs and lockdown albums and stuff, and man, I was so jealous, eh? It's like still had to work through that whole thing. It's like, I want to make that, but then it's like, actually, fuck it. I'm like, my mind's not in it. Like, I'm fucking, this is like uncharted territory for me, like a global pandemic. Like, this is real intense. Like, I don't want to write a rock song right now.
I think the thing is, like, even the people that force themselves to do that, like, I can't recall any that I remember now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
but maybe you don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's not in the bio or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it'll come out in 10 years' time.
Yeah. Started it. Yeah.
Started during lockdown. I fucking bet it will.
Yeah, probably. I mean, well, it's things like that. Like, I personally think there's something to art that of the like long gestation period of some art. Like you said, like this album of yours has been going from 2018 till now.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about giving a project that amount of time to not only figure itself out, but for the people doing it to figure out what it is.
Yeah. Well,
as opposed to being like, I've also done the extreme because I ran that 48-hour music thing where it's like, hey, you're going to start and finish a song in 48 hours.
I think Brian maybe did that. Or there was some like thing you do it a song every day or some shit for.
Oh, he might have done that.
Days.
Yeah. I did have Richard Larson do one under a fake name, which was nice.
Right.
And like that was really cool, and some of them are still being played and turned up on other things as well. But it did impress on me the importance of actual time. Like, it's like it proved you can do it in 48 hours, but nothing super special got created in 48 hours.
I don't think there's times where there was multiple periods of time where I didn't think that I was going to release the album because it didn't feel right, and it wasn't quite done, and I think that it was maybe beneficial not having any pressures on that.
Yeah.
And also to say fuck it, and these 4 songs that are on it that I don't want them to be on it, they're not on it. Like they don't feel right anymore, and some of the songs that are on it didn't feel right anymore, but then because 2, 3, 4 years have passed, or however many long since they were actually written, it like you sit on them, and then after a while you're like, okay, I can let this one go.
Yeah,
like, you can have this one, like this. Yeah, it's it must be so common out there. Like, I mean, some of your favorite artists will have so much stuff that they're just sitting on, being like, "I'm not ready,"
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Fuck, maybe they'll release it at some stage. But
Posthumous
maybe posthumously or like
B-sides and archives.
yeah, that's cool. Like there's that David Kilgore album. It's called like First Steps and False Alarms or whatever. But it's just a whole bunch of like demos from like Clean and the solo stuff. Fucking rules.
Yeah, right.
Real good album.
Cool.
And like I love hearing that, and then hearing those like motifs that occur in other songs that they repeat. Like we were talking about Spiritualized, I think, before that happened. But like there's like songs from there that are like Spaceman 3 songs that I've heard in like many different versions, and it's cool to see that like progression until the one that like gets recorded on the album comes out, and I guess it becomes the definitive or yeah, I don't know, that weird ephemeral thing.
Is there a song on the record that you right now are like, for any particular reason, like extra proud of or super happy with?
So it's a really good question. I think the two songs that I was going to scrap entirely, I'm really happy that they got to a point where they could be included. So
Borrowed
already
Time
gone and Borrowed Time. I think those are two ones that I was most challenged with, that I feel quite stoked that they're on there. Yeah. I think those two.
Because you kind of like stuck with them, or the time allowed them to come back around and be more relevant to you.
Yeah, be more relevant, and redid parts of them, because I think like instrumentally they were quite good. I was just the one letting the team down, and so it was kind of like, how do I like, bring this back around? And then so I did, and that was yeah. So I'm quite stoked on those. But yeah, I think those two I'm quite happy with.
So
yeah,
and
they were going to get cut, but they're back on.
Are you gonna? How much of the album is gonna get played next week?
I want to play the whole thing. I want to play it.
Sick.
I want to play it back to back, and then I might have one song at the end from an old tape that I might bring back on.
Cool.
But I think that'll be a conversation with the band when they're all here. Like, I don't know. Like, it's what are we now? Like, fuck, Wednesday. So the show's in 1 week and 1 day, and I don't know, like 4 people, 5 people maybe. Someone could catch COVID. Show might not even happen.
Shut up.
It's like,
No, I'm going to be there watching you play with a full band next week.
Yeah.
Well, great. That's everything I'd like to know about the record.
Fantastic.
I'm excited to hear it live. I've been enjoying it recorded
I'd love
a lot.
I
But it
can't
feels
wait
to
for
me
it to
like
come out.
music that I would like to really enjoy live.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to perform it live.
I think it'd be really cool to enjoy you performing it live.
Oh, very cool.
Last thing I need from you is I get you saying something along the lines of like, "Hi, I'm Jim Nothing,
Yeah.
and you're listening to Hako FM," or I'm on whatever
Yeah.
you want to say.
All right.
I'll use that as the intro.
Yeah.